Gentlemen, today we have got a brand new set of rear coilovers, or technically shocks, for the E46 because they have finally decided to blow after 9 years and they're making horrible sounds. So I've got a track day coming up this Monday, Tuesday on the MT10, and I plan on towing it there with the E46, but that's TBD depending if my family comes with me. And yeah, I pulled the E46 out of storage a couple months ago. It's kind of been sitting a lot. Two things I found. One, the rear shock was clunking like really bad, and it's only gotten worse, and actually all the fluid leaked out, so that was kind of cool. And then the second part was actually mice got into, or made a nest on top of the fuel tank and chewed through one of the fuel level senders and caused me to leak gas all over the place once I filled up the tank to full. So I filled up the E46 with gas, and it smells like gas when I'm driving. I get home, park it in the garage, it's pissing fuel out the bottom on the driver's side, and it looks like rats made a nest and chewed a hole in my fuel tank. So that's sick. So for today, we're going to be taking off the rear shocks. We're going to be reusing some of the parts from the old ones, like the bump stop and stuff like that, and putting it all back together so the car is ready to tow. Let's get going. All right, so we got the car off the ground, and here you can see all the oil that's been leaking out of it. Got little coilover socks on the shock. Springs are whatever. I don't really adjust these, they're just bottomed out forever pretty much. But what's interesting is it looks like there was corrosion or something happening on the shaft here, and yeah, the shaft's all wet. So I wonder if that corroded and then just wore the seal out as it's going in and out of its stroke. But that's like right at the top, so that's surprising. But then you can see the crusty bushings, which are no bueno. So we're gonna be replacing all this stuff. That is juicy. Let's break the coilover collar loose first, and then try to spin it, and then take the shock bolt off. Oh, I think I already see a problem. So, found a problem. So, the issue I've had with these is these shocks are all the way bottomed out, and I can never really get the spring to properly preload. These are just the standard BCBR length, not the extreme lows. So I asked him if he could get me the extreme low ones so I can actually shorten the shock a little bit and then preload the spring better. Also, if I want to go lower, because I still have room to go lower, that would let me actually preload the spring at the lower height. But I guess the extreme low shocks have a larger diameter, so I'm not going to have a lock nut for it because I didn't buy a lock nut because I was going to reuse mine. It looks like, I think the shaft is the same diameter. I can measure it with calipers, but it's just a much beefier shock body. So that is unfortunate. I guess the E46 is not going to Road America tomorrow. Gotta love car stuff. Always something. Alright, so ended up talking with BC. I got new locking collars for the lower mounts on the rear shocks. Old shock is out right now. Spared you guys the details. I mean, it's one bolt at the bottom, 2 bolts in the top and the trunk. Super easy. I do have these extenders, so I could adjust the dampening easily from the trunk. I just put little holes in the carpet with a little trim ring. But so what we need to harvest from here, and as you can see, this seal is what gave out and caused all the fluid to leak out. I need this little boot. And then there's a bump stop in there that I'm going to need to reuse. So we'll zip the nut off, swap it over onto this guy with a fresh top mount, lower mount, lock ring, and throw it all back together, tackle the other side. Okay, so what I've got here, I decided to put this thing in the good old Harbor Freight press. I'm not reusing this, so it really doesn't matter if anything gets bent. Should make light work of this little top hat. Let's give this a shot. Oh, that's scary. Oh, alright, cool. There we go. That's it. Shaft's all corroded, so this will focus. That's why I was stuck in there. That's what salt will do. I actually just realized that lower washer is still stuck on this guy, so I'm going to press it one more time. Glad I got this thing. Came in handy. Interestingly enough, the top mount is aluminum, so it's not going to corrode, but just surprising to see how clean it is. And actually, it looks like that shaft rusted inside the bushings, so that's interesting. I guess moisture collects in there. Alright, so I got these guys cleaned up. Now we can start reassembling. So we got the bump stop, got this little guy, which this actually fits properly on this new shock, which is great. I'll put a little zip tie around here. On the old one with the thinner diameter, this was like loose, free floating. So now we have washer, bushing, washer, get the nut on. Super easy. Now the guys at BC told me to torque these down to no more than 36 foot-pounds, so I'll probably set the torque wrench, I don't know, 32, maybe 30 foot-pounds. I should be able to use that Allen head to use the torque wrench, hold the nut with the wrench, and then that'll get me an actual proper torque spec instead of just hopes and prayers, which, quite honestly, just getting it tight would be fine because it's a lock nut, but we'll give it a shot. Actually, on second thought, I won't torque it down because to tighten it with the wrench, you got to go counterclockwise as if you're loosening, and you're not supposed to do that with torque wrenches. So I'll use a regular wrench. Just get it tight enough. 36 foot-pounds. You get a pretty good feel after doing this for some time, so shouldn't be a big deal. More. That feels about right. Okay. This little guy back on. Looks like there was some grease on it, so I'll get some fresh grease, reinstall that guy, slap it back together. Super easy. Nice. That one was super light. Just needs to hold the adjuster in, make sure that still spins. Oh, perfect. Okay. All that's left to do, get this guy on here. Probably wouldn't hurt. I've heard mixed things. It doesn't hurt to put anti-seize in here. At the same time, it does attract more dirt. I know in my old ones, trying to think, I'll put a little light skim coat, and I do run those coilover socks anyway, so it really shouldn't be a concern about getting any dirt or debris in these guys. That's it. Just a little skim coat. Don't want to go too crazy. This stuff will get everywhere. It'll stain everything you own. Be fucking careful with anti-seize. Then you always want to make sure your thread engagement is at least, I believe it's at least up to or beyond this hole. Obviously we'll set the height once this is actually on the car, so we get the proper preload on the spring, and I'll show you guys how to do that. We'll leave it there for now. Let's get this thing in the car. Alright, so the proper way to preload these shocks, see how there's a little bit of play, a little bit of a gap. Right now the trailing arm bushing is holding this thing up, so it's not decompressing all the way. But the jack is not supporting it, and what you want to do is you want to put, I believe BC spec is about 10 millimeters of preload on these. If you don't preload them correctly and there's a lot of free play, when your suspension goes to full droop, you take the weight off the spring and it can actually rattle around in that spring bucket. So the reason why the shock is adjustable on these is so that you can preload it properly. So even at full droop, your spring remains compressed, and that way you don't have any weird clunks or any like weird driving issues, specifically under like high cornering loads. So now I'm going to preload the spring so you can get an idea of what to look for. You're pretty much just looking for this gap to be minimized to between the spring and the spring bucket. Okay. So there we go. Spring is centered inside of the bucket. So you can see there's a little locator there. The bushings I have, I don't know if BC's updated them or not. They don't fully meet the OD of that little, I guess, centering nipple or whatever you want to call it. So I just centered it myself, compressed it. Now it looks like I just gotta raise the shock a little bit and then bolt it all up. It's gonna be good to go. All right, so with all that said and done, this is now a fresh coilover shock. Lock nut's done, zip ties on here. Throw this little coilover cover on. No affiliation with the brand or anything, obviously. I have ran these for a long time. It's been, damn, it's probably been like 5 years at least, and they're great. I mean, this thing's still kind of soaked in the old shock oil, but whatever. Just like basically like jet ski suit material. I forget what those are called, but that's pretty much what it is. Maybe I'll try to clean it up because this thing's just soggy with oil. So anyway, that's how you rebuild one of these shocks. Oh, and for the record, because everyone loves to debate this on these cars, the spring adjusters go on top. That is where they belong. They don't go on the bottom. In case you were wondering if I was running just the spring, I still have the spring adjusters. They're just up on top and kind of hidden. So anyway, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to get this other side knocked out and start driving this thing more because it has been sitting for far too long because I've been so excited about the clown shoe. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Yeah, the glare is difficult. No ABS.